Hi, welcome back to Caribou Country Lifestyle. My name is Cheryl. Today I'm going to be planting a little bit more of some spinach, romaine. I have two kinds of spinach, just a sec. This kitty is rolling around in my beds where I have plants. Not very happy about that. I'm watching you, kitty. Anyways, I have some of the spinach is just so sparse, and you can have your spinach plants 5 inches apart from each other, and the romaine can be 6 inches apart from each other. So I'm just going to put a little hole in there, and I'm going to drop a pinch of seeds, and whatever comes out of that, then I will thin it out as needed. And then also, she's climbing through my tripod of my camera. I'm like, you knocked that camera over and I'm going to be unhappy. I also noticed that my, oh my gosh, Swiss chard is growing kind of sporadic too, so I'm going to plunk some more seeds into the ground over there. I'm going to be planting my leek plants today. I'm also going to be planting my cauliflower cabbage, and then I'm also going to be planting some stonehead cabbage plants that I have bought as well. So we're going to plant those also. So let's get started with filling in the gaps. And I'm going to be planting another row of arugula. So this is another succession sowing because we are at the new moon to the first quarter. So that means I can plant more seeds for my spinach, lettuce, and arugula. And I'm going to plant the arugula over here where I had pulled out my corn salad that had went to flower. And then I'm going to give you a little tour of what's coming up. I have seeds that have sprouted since I planted my root vegetables. So super excited about that. And we will get started filling in these spaces. So in this row you can see I have romaine here, another one here, and then there's nothing until here, and then there's nothing until here. So I'm just going to use this little tiny dibble. My husband made me a big one and a small one, and I think I'll put this one right in the middle, and I'll put another one right here, and maybe one right here too. And then I will drop a pinch of these romaine seeds, probably about, I don't know, 10, maybe 12. One of them has got to take. No, that one doesn't have it. Probably only had 6. And then I'll just cover these up. They took a little longer to take, to start to sprout, than the other ones did. My prize head lettuce came up within no time. And we'll do the same thing here. I have these ones only needed to be 5 inches apart, so I have one here, one here, one here, one here. So I'm going to put some more here and some more here. And get this little chunk of wood out of here. And this is the Bloomsdale spinach. And I'll put 2 seeds in each spot. And hopefully I'll have another spinach plant in here. We got a lot of rain yesterday. I was going to come out here and do this yesterday, and it wasn't raining, so I get all my equipment and I just go outside and it was raining. So I came out here anyways and pulled some weeds, and it wouldn't stop raining, so I ended up packing her in and going in the house. It's further down here. Oh, something ate my spinach right off at the base. So this is the countryside spinach, and I'm gonna do the same thing here. Just space it out about 5 inches, 5 to 6 inches. Don't need that chunk of wood in there. And I'll put another one right there since I have a spinach plant down over here. And again, I'll just put a couple of seeds in each hole. Two there. There we go. And this is the row that I'm going to put in another row of arugula. And we'll just make a little trench. The soil is really nice and moist, so perfect for planting. And then back here, this is my butter crunch lettuce. So I've really thinned it out. And now they're about 5 to 6 inches apart, which is perfect. And I'll just roll these seeds along in the row. I really am liking the arugula. I've been buying quite a bit of it lately. My arugula over in the other spot is doing quite well. I'll just cover this up a little bit. And I could not believe the amount of rain we got yesterday. So I had taken my plants out to start climatizing them, and I had them out there for most of the morning, and it was just ever so lightly drizzling at that time, and I thought, not a big deal. And then yesterday afternoon I was in the house and I was starting to get my dinner ready, and it was almost 4 o'clock and it was overcast like it is right now, so it didn't hurt the plants. It wasn't super windy or anything, but all of a sudden I noticed it's a torrential downpour and it's windy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my plants are still outside in the kennel. So I go running down the stairs and I threw on my raincoat and I'm running out there and I'm bringing all these plants in, and it was just, couldn't believe how much it was raining. I don't think it affected anything. It might have been a little much for my peppers, so we'll just have to wait and see what's happening as far as those go. But as you, I don't know if you can see this, my Swiss chard, I have like 3 plants in the middle here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tease them apart like so. There's 3 here. And I'm just teasing the roots apart. And I'm gonna put my dibble, because they have to be 10 inches apart. So I'm gonna go about here and here. I'd say that's about 10 inches. And I'm gonna put one of these roots in here. Poppy, what do you want? And I don't want you in here. And another one right here. Oh yeah, I know. I love you too. And then I have one here, one here. I'm gonna put this other little root right in the middle. So I might not plant any more seeds now that I've spaced these little plants out a little bit better. Because if you need them 10 inches apart, well then I think that'll be good. I'm going to take this one out because I don't need that one in there if they're to be 10 inches apart. This is where I'm going to plant my leeks. I decided to put it at this end of the panel because I was going to put my peppers here, but I have these cute little portable greenhouse setups. And when I realized that this panel came out so far, I was like, well, that's not going to work. So instead of planting my leeks at that bed, I'm going to plant my leeks here, and then it won't be in the way when they grow with this being right here. So I'm planting my leeks 6 to 8 inches apart. These are leeks that I bought from the nursery because my leeks didn't, I mean, there's a few of them that have grown, but I want more than what I have. So I'm going to plant these, and I'm going to plant them 6 to 8 inches apart. Now I have my dibble, and my wonderful husband put markings on these. This is 4 inches, then it's 2 inches, so 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I'm planting my leeks 6 inches apart, and I'm going to be putting this dibble into the ground up to the 6-inch mark. I'm going to drop the leek into the hole, and I'm just going to put a little bit of the, fill in a little bit of the dirt and leave the rest of it kind of open, because as it rains, the water from the rain is going to fill the hole in with the rest of the dirt. Okay, so I'll put one right here. I'm going to go down to that second notch right there. Give it a turn as I'm bringing it up, because then I don't take all the dirt with it. And 6 inches apart would make it to that second notch. There we go. Right there. Sounds like Jamie's going to do some weed eating. There's my next one. I have 12 plants. And then I'll just put my last one in right here on the edge. Doesn't say what brand these are. Now, I'm gonna just kind of maneuver some of this dirt because, oh, this is not gonna work. I'm gonna have to make this hole a little bigger. To get the plant in there. I forgot that the plug is bigger than the hole. I'll drop it in, and I will just push it down. Take my next one. Probably don't even have to. I'm just afraid of breaking the plant itself. I'm just going to push it right in there. And I'll just leave it. I don't even have to fill it in. Just pushing it right in. One more, and then I'm going to plant my other 6 over in another spot. And I want to show you something with my root vegetables that I planted. We'll kind of talk about how that's been going. So I planted my root vegetables 2 weeks ago, about this time 2 weeks ago, and they're already sprouting. Like, I see little carrot shoots coming up out of the ground. I see beet shoots coming up out of the ground. Last year, when I planted my beets and carrots, I kept having to reseed them because I planted them too early last year. And this year, I followed the phases of the moon and you could plant them in between May the 12th to May the 20th. And that's how I know I planted them on the May long weekend. So that was 2 weeks ago I planted them, and I have little sprouts shooting up all over with my carrots and my beets. So that's something to be said. I definitely like the idea that I planted it in the dates of going by the phase of the moon. I forget what phase that was. That was the full moon to the last quarter is when I planted them. So now on my chart, I will, if I want to do a second succession sowing of root vegetables, things like my radishes, my next one that I would grow, my next dates would be June 11th to the 18th. I could plant more root vegetables. So I could do that with my radishes, and I could also do that with more of my carrots for a later crop of carrots. I'm just not sure where I would want to put them. I also picked up some cucumber plants yesterday. I got 4 of the pickling cucumbers and 4 of the Marketmore cucumbers as well. My seeds started growing, and I think I have 1 of the pickling cucumbers that has made it, and I don't even think I had 1 of the slicer cucumber that I had started on my own. So that was a dud, but my cantaloupe seeds started. We'll just have to wait and see what they look like. So I think there's something to be said about planting it with the phases of the moon as far as my root vegetables go anyways. So we're going to go down below and we are going to plant my cabbage and cauliflower plants down below in my row down there. So I have 24 Brassica plants. I have 2 different varieties of the cauliflower, and I have 2 different varieties of the cabbage too. I have a red cabbage and then the stonehead cabbage as well. Cheddar cauliflower, and I forget what the white cauliflower is. I am going to use my dibble, and I am going to space these plants. So I'm going to go down 6 inches and make a pretty good hole for my plant. And then I'm going to space that to there on an angle, and I'll put this one like this. And then I'm going to go to there, push that over on this side, and just make a pretty nice size hole. Then diagonal to here. I had to pull all the weeds out as well, and I had some volunteer seed potatoes from the potatoes that I planted in this row last year. So I had to take those out. But as you can see over here in that bed, those are all my potatoes I planted, and they're all doing really good. That rain, I'm sure, helped them immensely. So I have 24 plants, so I want to keep that in mind. 21, 22, I'm so lucky. I have exactly 24. So it doesn't really matter. I'll grab the very first one here and we'll go from there. This is the cheddar cauliflower. So I'll put my tag here for cheddar cauliflower. I'll drop that right there. I will push it down. I'm just setting this up. This just says cauliflower. Doesn't say what kind of cauliflower. Okay, that's gonna go there. Hey, get out of here. Bad as my cats. Okay, white cauliflower. Red cabbage, and that's all it says, red cabbage. And this is the stonehead cabbage. That's the only one that tells you the variety other than the cheddar cauliflower. So I'm just pushing them in, not a ton, and then mounding some of this dirt up around it, around the plant. And it hasn't been getting lower than 5 degrees at night, so this will be fine for these Brassica plants. I'm not finished. I have to get some protective covers over these plants now. I just remembered, here I went and got my hoops to set up some covers for over top of these plants, Brassica plants that I just planted, and I seen these onion plants and I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to plant some onions in amongst my Brassicas also. So I bought these onion plants because, again, like my leeks, my onion plants didn't do very good either. I have some, but not enough. I want lots of onions. So I'm just going to plant the odd onion in between my Brassica. So I'm just going to take and plant one here. I'm just planting 12 in amongst. These are the Elsa Craig, and then I have red onions as well. And I'm just kind of plunking them in amongst these. Of putting up the hoops and putting what I put on over these Brassicas is bug netting. And then what that does is it protects the plants from the white cabbage moths that come flying around. They look so pretty, but they're not. They fly along and they drop eggs onto the plants, which then produce your cutworms. And they're what you don't want. Now I'm going to do the red onion. I'm just going to move this tag. I'll put this tag in beside it to let me know these are red onions. I bought 12 red onions, so the rest of them I'm going to put in the garden in amongst my plants in the garden. Now I've got these hoops, and they're just You might not be able to hear me because my husband's weed whacking closer to here, but they're just hula hoops that I purchased from the dollar store, and then we just cut them and opened them up so I could use it as a hoop over my plants. Okay, so we'll start with this one. Pretty psychedelic. And I'm just going to put it at the very end because I have to have enough space for when my plant starts to grow. It's going to grow out this way too. So there's one. And I don't know how many I'm going to need, but okay, I needed 7 hoops, and then I purchased some bug netting that I'm going to drape over these hoops, and then I have clamps that I clamp the bug netting onto these hoops to hold it up over the plants, and that's what's going to protect my plants from the cabbage moths. So I have to use both pieces of this bug netting, and it's a fairly thick netting, but it has enough holes, like ventilation in the netting, that when I'm watering, it goes through the netting and can still water the plants. So that's good. But I need it to come to this hoop so that I can clamp these 2 pieces of netting together. So I'll put this one over top, and I'm going to come to this side and grab this netting and drape it over. I have my clamp. Just going to fill up my pockets. That's the reason why I'm wearing a jacket with pockets. And I'll put all my clamps in here. And then I need a couple of little ones for at the ends when I bunch it together and clamp that together. Here I'm going to have a clamp down at the ends, and I clamp it right down at the base, right at the ground. And that keeps this netting down. And I'll get another one for this side, and I'll pull it tight and clamp it down. Then this end, I just take it and I bunch it up. To pull this down, I'm going to have to use a big clamp on it. Thought I'd be able to do it. Oh, I can't even get that one open. Okay, I'm gonna use a little one, because that big one doesn't even want to open up. And pulling it kind of taut a bit so that it's not. This is a smaller hoop, so I can bring this in a little bit more. I'll just go down this side and then come back the other side. Okay, this is in the middle. I'm going to pull this one back so I can pull this one over. I want it on the hoop so that when I bring this over, I'm going to put a big clamp on the top as well as on the sides. And this is where I have to double up and clamp this down. And I try to get it as close to the ground as possible. And the first year I did this, I actually held the sides down with old 2x4s. Okay, just so that nothing can get in underneath this. Okay, now I'm going to clip that other end. Have a quick, just go down the whole thing. There's my plants. And here's where I matched up the netting together, because didn't have enough for the whole row. But I cut this in half lengthwise. And there you have it. My brassicas are planted and protected. I just want to show you, I don't know how close I have to get. There's a little beet sprout. There's another little beet sprout. There's one just poking through the ground, and another one. And then if I look beside it, all this little hairy little sprouts, that's my carrots coming in. Scarlet Nantes carrots. And they're really thick in here coming down. So that's exciting for my root vegetable. Just want to show you, I also went out and picked my rhubarb, and I got 8 medium-sized bags, freezer bags, of chopped up rhubarb from the garden today. So I got quite a bit accomplished today. When I was going to get the netting, it was funny. These were last year's onion, and I picked them and I stuck them in the back shop, and I forgot about them. And then Jamie said, so I think because it froze, I would imagine your onions are no good. And I'm like, oh, probably. Well, when I was getting that netting, look at my onions. I am going to plant these. I mean, why not? So I'm going to plant them in between, but behind my collard greens, and we'll see what happens. The worst thing that they can do is they don't grow, but I think they are going to grow. I have quite a few here. I have a lot of red ones, and I don't even know what the other variety was. Could have been Walla Walla onions. I grew some of those last year. So I'm just gonna plunk those into the ground So I just want to thank you for joining me again to watch what I have going on. I'm so glad to get those brassicas planted down below, and I'm impressed because I got the netting over them. Sometimes I get the plants planted and then it takes me a few days to actually get the netting on, but I got the netting on right after I planted the plants, so I'm impressed. I'm proud of myself. Yeah, things sometimes work out really well and then other things not so much, but that's okay. Anyways, thanks for joining me. We'll talk again soon. Bye for now.